Welcome to the Holan and Cassy podcast.
I feel like Kermit the Frog, and he's like, "Yay!"
Yeah, I'm at the show. Well, today's topic is immune support.
Yeah.
Flu season, colds, those are words that we're not supposed to use. So we're going to stick with immune support. How do you support your immune system?
Yeah.
And here in Las Vegas, I don't know if it's allergies, change of weather. It's been on and off.
Mm-hmm.
Not only for ourselves, but with our friends. Mm-hmm. And I've kind of like, how can I teach this? I've been getting sick in the last couple years, but just going to be real. It's because I've neglected just the basic things, right? Mm-hmm. I think the first time I really got sick was beginning of 2020. That was before the whole world shut down. We didn't know what it was doing.
No, it was. No, yeah, you're right.
You're right. It was. The world wasn't.
Yeah.
It was before everything.
Yeah.
It was January.
Mm-hmm.
The prevailing theories. It was because I was like knocked out.
Yeah.
And because we used to brag about this. This is what it was. It works for sales. We can't say it anymore because it was like I've never been sick. I don't get sick.
Yeah.
And I've heard people say that. But maybe it's just bias. People just remember because I'm like, no, you were. But really, in 2020, it was. We were on the road all the time. Mm-hmm. I don't remember taking off. That was at least 10 years of just, and we attributed it to the products. But, as we mentioned before, it really is God really had his hand on that. Mm-hmm. Maybe utilizing products or just making sure that we didn't get sick. But with that said, what do you do for immune support? Do we gonna get the complicated or not? I was just gonna say something.
Yeah.
Let's start with it simple. Because in the early days we didn't know. Like it's so complicated now because things are things. But going back to 2010, it was simple. Maybe that's why we were more consistent and so excited. What was the thing? 2010.
You just put oils on your feet.
Which oils? It's just like one oil.
So On Guard was the staple oil that everybody was like, that's like your immune support in a bottle. And, because it has, like clove and cinnamon, orange, really cool things that is good for helping our immune system. And you can...
These new bottles.
I know. So you can, put in your drink, like make your own like throat gargles or
Gargle your throat.
things. You can drink it. You can put it in your pancakes, your smoothies, just stick it on your feet. You can diffuse it, so it's in the air. And that was the main thing that kind of supported everything because when you diffuse and, diffusing, like it goes into the air, right? And which helps clean the air. And so you're kind of killing things that way.
Whoa. So you're talking to me. I understand that it does that, but somebody might be watching and they're just like, what in the world? How does a scent? I can explain, or you can explain.
Yeah. And there are studies on this, which we can post some links in our description for you to go do your own research on. But yeah, you want to explain that?
I'm not going to deep dive because you can go into the chemistry, you can do into research. But to keep it simple is that plants also get sick. And so in order to protect itself from disease, it has to produce these phytochemicals, which are part of it is essential oils, to keep itself healthy. It fights against mold. It fights against
bugs.
I'm not supposed to say viruses and bacteria, but it does. And so those that are into plants or those that are into even building their houses out of wood, they know this. There's certain woods that are more resistant to mold than others. And can you imagine back in our grandparents' time, or great grandparents, they used to make those houses out of wood, right? And they would get those benefits. They might not know it. When where would they build the houses? They would build them like near the water, near field, near forest. You have all of those things. You think of those like cabins, right? Now we live like in a suburb, right? Or, we don't, and we're in Las Vegas, so we don't have that. We have all this drywall. Everything is sterile. Everything is like, we don't want natural. We want it to be sterile and clean. But what you're lacking is those things that have those benefits that naturally support our immune system.
Yeah. And so part of it is, like using oils. But there's also another component to that because we have tools in our toolbox, and what do we do when we're sick, right? Like, what do we do when we're like knocked out? Most times it's like drink lots of water, get lots of rest, and, let your body do what it's meant to do, right? And so we have things like oils that support that as well. And oftentimes helps to speed that process along. Well, that's in my experience.
But still more oils for us.
Yeah.
So the oils that we love, obviously number one, On Guard, right? There's studies and there's all these kind of stuff. What's in it? I guess, there's orange, essential oil, rosemary, clove. You talked about that. But what can we do to enhance, right?
Yeah.
There was like this thing. They used to call it FLUME. What does FLUME stand for? It's now flute, I guess. What does FLUME stand for?
Frankincense.
Oh, frankincense. Lemon. Oregano.
On
Guard.
And
Melaleuca.
Yes.
Tea tree.
Tea tree.
Which is known as Melaleuca alternifolia, right? But easy acronym to remember, FLUME. They would put it in a capsule. They would take it, and we can go over that about the safety of ingesting oils, right? Not all oils are safe to ingest. There are certain amounts. And then there's also just applying it to the back on the feet, diluting it, right?
Yeah, and things like having rollers that make it super easy. Like, this is probably my favorite way of application if I'm putting it on topically. So, On Guard, and it's just so easy. Like, you just take it and you can, put it behind your ears and just rub it on your neck, and you don't even have to rub it in, touch it. Like, that's it. You're done. Throw it in your bag.
Yeah.
Put it on your nightstand.
I just wanted to say about frankincense. Like, that's what they used in those days. I was like thinking, is it legit or is it just marketing? This frankincense. Was it just an incense for smell? Because that's how we associate things. Like, oh, it just smells, the frankincense, myrrh. Like, I really had to really look. Is it marketing? But they really do. When people said they use oil, the main oil, especially during biblical times, is olive oil. But it just depends on how rich people were. Some people just had olive oil, which is great. But the more richer you are, sometimes you put some herbs. And if you're really rich, you would put like spikenard, right? That was the one where, Mary was washing Mary Magdalene, right? And Jesus's feet, and the disciples or Judas was like, hey, we could have just sold that. Like, that's so much money, right? And they were valuable. But what I was reading is it wasn't just for aroma. Like, these herbs and smells, there are value to it. Goes to frankincense, one of the gifts, 3 gifts to Jesus. Yeah. But there's another combo, right? doTERRA has a blend called Breathe, and we combine that with On Guard.
Yeah, because it's a dual, Breathe is good for your respiratory sinus. So if you're dealing, with that type of up here, right, then I like to mix the two, because for me it helps support me in 2 different ways, in multiple ways. There's also Stronger, which is one of
now we're getting heavy, because a lot of these came louder. I think that's why I was like, whoa, there's so much. But yeah, Stronger.
But Stronger, though, let me tell you, because that is one, it's gentler on the skin. There's different oils in there. And so it's a little bit milder for people who have sensitive skin or children. Yeah. Right? But I love Stronger because there's rose essential oil in there. And for me, I had a really, one of my big stories is with rose. Yep. And for me, I know that rose oil supports my body just like with its own healing.
Absolutely.
In a very quick way. And so, and that's my experience, you know? And so I like to use that like as my first line of defense.
Yeah. Stronger. I like to use it because I like it because emotionally, right? I think Litzy and Rose. I can't guess the other ones. I'm guessing there's frankincense, but there might be. But for sure, Rose.
Do you want me to look it up?
Yeah. You know, we come in, right, off the cuff. You didn't do any research, but definitely Rose. But emotionally, it helps. What I do love about it for the topical uses, like really for On Guard, you saw me put in my hand, put in my drink. Topically, it is even diluted because it has the clove and cinnamon, right? It is what they consider a hot oil. Some people are sensitive to it. Definitely, it's one of those oils used to use with caution, and even if it's diluted. So if you want to just not worry about that, or you don't like the smell of cinnamon or those other things, use Stronger. What's in it?
So there's cedarwood,
Litzy,
frankincense, and rose.
I was correct. I was just missing the cedarwood.
And it has fractionated coconut oil in there, so also makes it better for sensitive skin, and it helps to, you know, it lingers longer.
They call it the kids line, but it's for big kids, us adults as well.
Yeah.
Hey, have you ever used On Guard and people are like, "Is that On Guard?"
I think I've used like other oils.
Deep Blue.
No, like more like lavender or some citrus, like something like really common.
No. There's like some times where I think Deep Blue or On Guard, because I'm like, only doTERRA people know that. But this complete stranger like, is that On Guard? But there's a whole line of On Guard products.
Yes.
We get a lot of compliments on our hand wipes. Because prior to this, I personally didn't use hand wipes. I come from the, build up your immune system, and, wash your hands. I wasn't the like sterilize everything, right? I didn't grow up that way. But we do use hand wipes. Cassy does make sprays, especially when we go to the airplane, sprays everything. Now uses the hand wipes. But every time because it's so normal for us, but then when we go out to eat and we're like, "Oh, do you want a hand wipe?" And they're like, "What's that smell?" And I'm like, "Whoa, did it offend them?" And they're like, "No, it smells really good. Normally hand wipes, you just smell it smells like
alcohol,
rubbing alcohol."
Yeah.
So it smells good, but it has a great benefit for emotions and for our just overall health. So that's On Guard. Oregano. I haven't used oregano in a while, but I have a story.
Yeah.
Like when I first was, so I didn't get sick for a good 10 years, right? But there was times where I would have scratchy throats. And this is the thing, it's like, once you have the scratchy throat, you just nip it in the bud. And I would use On Guard, and I would use oregano, because I'm like, oregano is like, it's a spicy oil. Those hot oils have things in common. They just kill stuff, right? If it's hot, it kills. And so, and they did use it. They do use it for like chickens and antibiotics, but that's another story. But I remember this, and I'm just going to be real. That's why we share these stories, because some of it is, I don't know if it's marketing, but I watched this video and they're like, "Oh yeah, my son was sick. My 5-year-old son was sick, and he drank some oregano and he felt better." So here I am, scratchy throat.
If the little kid can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, because I knew it was a hot oil. I didn't test it out to begin with. I know that you always have to dilute it, but I was just like, and then the minute I put it in, I didn't put it in water. I put it in water, and the minute I put it in my mouth, I spit it right out. I don't like spicy things. Some people can't handle it. I have a friend that bought oil of oregano from the store, And he's like, yeah, I take that every day. Like, I don't, there's a whole other thing. But I was like, we'll try some doTERRA one. And he's like, whoa, he could handle it. But he's like, wow, it is very, very powerful. So those are some things that are what made things easier later on was a product called On Guard Plus, which was soft gels. And it reminds me how diligent we were before, and we're not as diligent now. Because without fail, every time we travel, and we used to travel a lot, we would take it with us because like that's where you get sick sometimes. You're just on the go, stressed. And what makes it different is not just On Guard in there. It has oregano, it has black pepper, and it has Melissa.
Yeah.
And so those are powerful for different reasons, right? Which I'm not going to do too into the science, but beta carotene in black pepper and Melissa, which brings me for a future oil. But I like that because at the time people were making like this own thing, and it's like, this is ready made. We're gonna travel, and I haven't done that for years, and it just reminds me like I should, like be preventative, right? Your sister, right, has 4 kids. When she's a teacher, she is diligent with the oils, right? On Guard and all of that, and it has worked pretty well, right? If I know it's certain seasons, I used to be very diligent. I should be right now. Like, everybody else, let's hunker down. Let's diffuse.
We're traveling because we don't travel as much now, but even when we do, it's like, okay, like a week and a half before, like we're usually doing a little bit more than just our normal daily routine.
Now I look back, it's funny. Maybe I was a little bit too judgmental. We were at a doTERRA conference, I think in Orlando, and we were eating at the table at the breakfast at the hotel, and we were taking our On Guard. And this lady's like, "Oh, is that On Guard? Can I have some?" I was like, "You travel without On Guard?" But now I'm the person that is not as diligent. So really, those are some of those things. The reason why I mentioned beta carotene, because that's the reason why it was put. Melissa and black pepper is put into On Guard, and Melissa is also a very good oil for the immune system. Is an oil called copaiba, and it'd be great if they put it in that On Guard Plus. But copaiba also comes in soft gels, also comes in the oil form, and for me, like it doesn't really taste like anything.
Yeah, but
you can take it in the soft gels. If I just want a better effect, I would take the copaiba. Helps with the endocannabinoid system, helps with your immune system. Lots of research. Look it up online. That is an amazing oil. So we've covered most of the oils, right?
Yeah, and I think it's just going with lifestyle. So as you're, just little things, and you don't have to wait to use the oils. Like Holan said, be preventative. And, using On Guard under your feet every morning or every evening before bed, or using the roll-on, throughout the day. Like sometimes I'll just be sitting at my desk, like, let me just roll this on. And making sure you're getting rest, you're drinking your water, and, your vitamins. Like last episode, we talked about the vitamins.
Yeah.
And so that's a really also a big component of healthy immune system too, right? And so little things that you can do, and you don't have to do everything right away, right?
Yeah.
Just taking baby steps and habit stacking.
Yeah.
That's been, I think, a nice thing that, you don't have to do everything all at once. Like our goal is that you're not overwhelmed.
Yep.
And that if you have questions, ask questions, and, make sure that you get the education that you need to make a informed decision about what you're doing for your body.
Sounds good. I know. How are we on time?
We're good.
So I know, because Cassy mentioned, right? Supplements, water, and we don't want to. That's where it gets complicated. But I guess the main thing is your nutrition. What you eat is very important, and vitamins, right, is also very important. Some things that you eat can also put stress on your body, right? We talked about stress, handling stress. I'm not going to get into that because that is a
that's
whole other thing. But that is other ways to affect immune support. I remember when Cassy was going through ordeal, we have a massage table. We used some oils. We had a different protocol. But one of the supplements besides the greens and the omegas that I would really say really great for immune support is the probiotics.
Yes.
Not enough time to go over it, but I will say do some research because 70% of your immune system is in your gut.
Right.
And I start implementing that every day. And if you've been in the hospital or really stressed out and really disrupted your gut, which I'm still recovering because I was in the hospital. I'm not recovering, but if you've been through the hospital, just like I have like a year ago, it'll take some time to kind of get back to where you were before.
Right.
I think that's the reason, one of the reasons why things are so, and then the stress. When you look at lifestyle, there are oils and things to do stress, but sometimes there are some decisions that are like, you know what, is this job serving me? Right?
Yeah.
Or is there a situation where I can handle, how do I process these emotions in a healthy way?
Yes.
Not holding that up where it can manifest. And that sounds kind of woo-woo, but there is things about your emotions and your health. And the Bible talks about that as well.
And you can always take it to prayer.
Yep.
You can also talk with your community.
Amen.
Your pastors and other fellow Jesus followers, right?
Absolutely. I love how we should do this every episode. Like, don't forget, right? Ultimately, God is our healer, right? Rapha, right? And so if we, always, I feel like sometimes we go through these moments, it really depends on God. Sometimes we become so dependent on ourselves and we're like, oh, I'm sick, just do this. But really, God wants us to have a relationship, have conversation. So maybe those are opportunities where it's a reminder like, hey, when was the last time I talked to God?
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a little bit about the immune system and how we do things, how we feel. So, yeah. Check back on our next episode for more cool things. We'll see you next time. Bye.